In this video, I'm going to teach you another simple t-shirt layout that you can use when designing t-shirts. I'm calling it half graphic, half text. You're going to be able to make t-shirts that look like this. And I'm going to show you step by step on how to do it, all in Affinity Designer. Let's go. Thanks for joining me on this video. My name is Juna with Detour Shirts, a channel all about helping you design and sell t-shirts online. If that's something you like to do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So in this video, I'm doing it again, another t-shirt layout, another simple t-shirt layout that you can use when designing t-shirts to put on print-on-demand shops. This one I'm calling half graphic, half text. And you may have seen these. It's where they have the graphic usually on the left, cut in half, so there's like a hard line, and then text on the right because it's left aligned, so it's going to be on the right there. So this layout technique is something that I think you can do. It's pretty easy. All you need is a graphic and a good line of text, probably 6 or 7 words, something around there, and just lay it out. So I'm going to show you how to lay it out in Affinity Designer. I'm going to show you where I get my graphics. You can get your graphics from anywhere. So of course you're going to want to stay till the end to see the final product on how I get from nothing to the finished product. I'm going to show you all the steps in between, as well as another addition of trend credits at the end of this video. So stay tuned to the end. Let's get started. So here we are on Affinity Designer. I just wanted to show you the different styles that can be done with this layout. So these are some of the designs I found on Amazon. All of them have the graphic on the left with the text on the right. Take a look at these. So we have a face here, a sunflower here, a sugar skull, and a baseball. And all of them have that hard line right down the center as it's cut in half, right? So take a look at that. And they're all kind of left aligned. The text is left aligned. And that's why you want to do it to cut on the left so that you have that hard line on the left and then that left align on the text. You could do it the other way, but more often than not, it's done this way because we love left aligned stuff, at least in the US with American stuff, so in English. This is a layout that you'll see a lot, and this is one that I think you can do. You just need a graphic and some longer text. So you'll notice a lot of these have longer text, longer phrases. It's not 2 or 3 words. It's usually more like 6, 7, 8 words or more. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 words or so. So this is probably one of the longer ones. And these probably have more 6 or 7 words. You'll also notice that on the right side, on the text side, they also want to create some interest. So either with different colors, different fonts, some kind of graphics here, different sizes of fonts too. So that's another thing we're going to need to look out for. So there's lots of ways to do this. I would suggest starting with the graphic. And so let's do that. And I'll show you where I find my graphics. So the first part I would suggest doing is finding the graphic. And so these are some graphics that I found. All of these graphics are from Merch Informer. So if you have Merch Informer, you can go to their Merch Informer graphics. If you don't have Merch Informer, I have a link in the description for Merch Informer. But you can see very nice graphics here. You can get your graphics from Vexels. You can draw your own graphics if you want to. But there's certain types of graphics that work better for others. So first, you want to find the right shape. Remember, it needs to be a square or a tall rectangle. A tall rectangle would probably be better. So something like this, you can see it's more tall than long or more tall than wide. Squares work too, so you can just cut it a little bit more to make it a little taller, right? This one's taller than long, this flower as well. And it doesn't have to be symmetrical. Like you could use this too and just cut it in half, but most of the time symmetrical stuff works better. So my tips for graphics are make sure they're the right shape, make sure they look good cut in half. So that's why symmetrical ones work the best, and make sure you have the right topic. So not every graphic will have something that people want to buy. So you're going to want to do some research and make sure you find the right topic and the right graphic for that topic, which is why some people start with the phrase first and then look for the graphic. I think it's just easier to find graphics because sometimes you don't know if there's going to be a graphic, and that's why I say start with the graphic. So on Merch Informer, they don't have graphics for everything. On Vexels, you might have a chance to find something, and you may not know how to draw everything. So That's why I say start with the graphic first, especially for beginners or if you don't have a big library. But if you're using something with a big library, you may want to start with the topic first or the phrase first. Make sure that is something people want to buy or look for. So let me go a little deeper into the graphic and show you why the right shape is important, why these couple things are important. So first, you could have the right shape. You see what I mean here? The tall rectangle. But if you cut it in half, nobody knows what that is. Like if you just put that and then text on the side, I mean, it kind of looks like a rollerblade, but it doesn't. So make sure that that when you cut it in half, it actually looks like something. On the reverse side, you have something that kind of looks good cut in half here, but it's the wrong shape. It's a lot wider. This one is a lot wider than taller. So when you cut it in half and you put text along here, it just has this empty space, right? So make sure to look for both. Make sure you have the right shape and make sure that it looks good cut in half. They have to have both. That's your criteria for graphics, as well as it needs to match the topic or phrase that you're going for. Okay, so once you have the graphic, let's move on to step 2. So step 2 is to find a phrase that matches your graphic. So once you have that flower, once you have that basketball, go and look for a phrase that matches that. It's usually between 7 and 10 words. It doesn't have to be, but it can't be very short. So it can't be 2 or 3 words. It's not going to work. You need some kind of longer phrase to fit that space. I would suggest looking for trending phrases. So that's why one reason you may want to do the phrase first and then look for the graphic. But you also can just do a search. So if you do a basketball and you find a basketball, do a search for basketball, look for some good phrases or make up one that you think people would like. It doesn't necessarily have to be a trending phrase, as long as your phrase, your original phrase that you're making up is something that's engaging, that people want to buy and it relates to the audience, right? So it has to be something either funny, dramatic, something, that gives it an oomph, drives some emotion to it. So if you're going to create your own phrase, just look for that. Make sure that it's a phrase that people can relate to. Don't just put any words on there and hope that people want to buy. Do some research before you make up your own phrase and make sure that it's something that people can relate to and want to buy and see on a t-shirt in this case. So now that you have your graphic and your phrase, those are the 2 main things that you need. Let's put it together. So this is what we're going to do today in this example. I'm going to use this graphic of gemstones or this crystals, and I'm going to do this phrase, "Sorry, I can't. I have to charge my crystals." I thought it was funny. I don't collect crystals, so again, I don't know if this is a really good one, but it's got enough words on here. I didn't do a lot of research on this one, but there are some people that are buying t-shirts with this phrase, so I'm going to use it. It isn't trending really hard, but again, this is something you want to do some research on. I'm just going to use this for an example on how to lay it out. You're going to want to find your own phrase and your own graphic and follow along. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut that image in half, that graphic in half. And you can see the easiest way to do it, I think, is to put a rectangle here and use the erase effect. So let me show you how to do it. You can see the whole graphic is right here. All I do is I'm putting a white rectangle. You can see it's white right here, and make sure they're in the same group. So the crystal and the rectangle are in the same group, and put that rectangle above the crystal or above your graphic, and then go here to erase. So by default, it would say normal here, and you just want to scroll all the way down to erase. And the reason why you want to erase it is because you want to erase the background. So let me show you what happens if this was on a t-shirt. So you can see it's knocked out on black. So if this is normal, you would see the white background on it, and we don't want that. We want it to be knocked out. So that's why erase, and it's knocked out. Pretty cool, right? All right, the next thing you're going to want to do is left align this text. So let's get rid of this black background. And the easiest way to left align is right here. This is left align. You should have this up here. This is, just look for that. And everything's aligned left. So that has that hard line on the left. And then now we can move on and move things around. So I'm just using Veneer Clean right here, but you're gonna wanna use a couple of different fonts. And let me show you what I mean. So here's the next stage of it. I'm using 2 different fonts. So this one is called Thirsty Soft. This one is Veneer Clean. And you don't have to use these fonts. You can use whatever fonts you want. I just like to do 2 fonts to give it some interest. And I like to do one that's, you know, if I'm going to use a serif font, maybe use a sans serif font for the other one, or a cursive font, kind of mix them up together just to give some interest. And then play around with this line. So there's this imaginary line right here. You can see that. I'm just going to put a guide there. And you can use guides too. Just drag it from the ruler and make sure that your text is lined up like that. So each one is, these are individual, and I'm just moving them around. It doesn't have to be right up against there. You can play around with it. As long as most of them are there, you can see I put this one just a little bit more to the right. And then play around with different things to add to it. So you want to still give it some interest. I put some dots here. This is real easy to do with the circle tool, right? Just hold down Shift, make a dot, make it the right size. I'm also using another thing here. This is a swash. I got this swash from a font I got from my fonts. This one's called Air Rates Script Swash. So this is just a font. If you want to draw something here, a line or anything like that, you can do that as well. So really what we're trying to do is create some interest here by doing different fonts, lining it up, and make sure your end product is a tall rectangle. So one way you can do that is draw a tall rectangle. Go here to color, make sure that it's just the stroke, and kind of see if it's a tall rectangle. Kind of measure it out. Yeah, that's taller than longer, right? So that's good. So the very last thing that you want to do is make sure that it works on a black t-shirt. So let me show you what I did here. So I put it on a black t-shirt. I changed some of the colors. I changed some of these things. So instead of the dots here, I just added a hard line, which is real easy to do. You just do a rectangle, right? And draw a rectangle, so you can do that. So again, I wanted to draw some interest, so I just put some kind of diamonds here, and that's real easy to do too. If you go to the diamond tool right here in Affinity Designer, really easy. You just draw it, right? So not hard stuff here. Everything's either fonts or drawn in. Then I added some distressed texture on here. I have a video on how to do that. I'll put the link to the video up here, but you can do that. Find some textures. It works really well, especially for this crystal, and it just gives it a little more interest, and that's why people do it here, and people love that vintage distressed look. So that's all I did here, and it looks good on black, and it's ready to go. So you can do this, guys. It's really easy. Just make sure you have your graphic on the left and follow these basic steps. Make sure that everything's aligned here. Use a couple of different fonts to create interest, and add some different other things to create interest as well. You know, some graphics, some little tiny graphics that you can make here. Hearts, diamonds, you know, lines, swashes, anything like that. And color, you notice that I changed the color here to give it interest as well. So I used the white because it has that best contrast, but I also use this color, which I took from the crystals here to kind of make sure that they align to each other. So hopefully this is really easy for you guys. Play around with this one. Have fun with this one. Look for phrases that would match a graphic, or look for a graphic that would match a phrase. Either way, you can go do either one. Make sure your graphic is long enough. You can see this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words. Pretty standard between 7 and 12 words. You don't want it too long, or else your text will get too small. So you still want it to be readable, but you also want it to fit the space. So 3 words would be just too big, right? So kind of play around with it, have fun. Make sure that it is a tall rectangle, and make sure that it works on a black background. So if you have any questions about this, I think you'll get better at this over time. Just play around with it. But if you have any questions on this, let me know in the comments. Put that in there. Thanks so much for watching. That is the end of this video. Pretty quick tutorial on how to do this design. I'm calling it half graphics, half text. Have fun with this one, guys. And your reward for staying all the way till the end is another edition of Trend Credits. Thanks for staying to the end for this trend credit. Here is your trend. It's cool. I've had both my shots. Now this is going to be one for adults. Make sure if you're on Merch by Amazon, because it has it's alcohol related, don't click that youth design. But you can still do this one. It's not trademarked. Take a look at these designs. This is your competition. Take a look at the BSRs though. really low BSRs. This is a funny take on vaccine shots, right? But also shots, so a different take on it. A lot of different ways to do this. You can see this one just black and white. A lot of them have color with the tequila. This one's using the vintage sunset. This is one that you could use the technique that we found right here. You're just going to have to make sure that you find a design that's looks good cut in half. This one has 2 shots, right? So that's the idea. If you can get 2 shots in there with it cut in half and find a way to do that, I think you could do it. Let's take a look at Merch Informer. It's getting an A, so you know it's good. Again, if you don't have Merch Informer, I have a link in the description for Merch Informer. This is where you can get some Merch Informer graphics, right? So click on here, all the graphics if you have Merch Informer. So again, competition checker. It's cool. I have both my shots getting an A. You can see this one is getting 40 estimated sales. This one's 23 estimated sales. Don't do Mickey. I don't know why this one's in here. That doesn't make any sense, but let's take a look at the trend again. It's cool. I have both my shots. Lots of different ways to do this. Don't copy these. These look like they're the same design, so make sure to do your own. Of course, if you copy these, you're not going to get any sales because these guys are going to get the sales. They look exactly the same and they have a better rank than yours. So make sure that you do yours in your own style. Try the different layouts that we talked about in this video. That might be one way, or something else totally different. So, and if you want to do another play on words with shots and vaccines, that's another way. I think that's why this is selling, because it's doing both drinking and vaccination, right? So play on that if you're trying to come up with your own phrase. That's the bigger niche that this is going toward. So that is your trend for this video. It's cool. I've had both my shots. So that is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this video gave you a lot of value. If it did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. I got one in the corner right here. So before we go, I wanted to give you a question of the day. And the question of the day is, what other t-shirt layout style do you want to learn? Leave the answer to that in the comments. I'd love to hear about it, and maybe I can make another video about that. Hopefully I can do one that's really easy, easy to understand. There's so many different layouts out there for t-shirts, so I want to teach you as many as I can. So the reason why I want to do videos like this is to make sure that you have a big group of layout designs to choose from. I already gave you 3. I'll make sure to put a link to the other 2 that I did, but I'm going to try and do more and more of these. I think this is a big thing for beginner t-shirt designers, non-designers, that they just don't know where to start. How do I lay out a t-shirt design, right? There's not one answer for that, but there's lots of answers. And if you have a big group to pull from, then it's just a lot easier to create t-shirt designs. So that's my goal with this series. Hopefully that's really helpful for you. Thanks so much for staying to the end. And if you want to see other layout designs, I'm going to put a link to those videos right here. And as always, guys, keep creating and keep learning. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.